guys, it's Carolyn, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're talking about all things social media with somebody that helps me with my social media and my podcast, Brittany Crossan of Fun Love Media. Good morning, Brittany. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Thank you for taking the time to be on the show. Before we dive in, tell us about yourself and how you got to where you are now.
I got into social media way back in the day with MySpace as I age myself. I think it was 2002, I'm pretty sure, when MySpace was available.
Uh-huh.
And ever since I was a small child, I was a performer. So I've always loved to dance and act and do all those things. And so to me, whenever I discovered MySpace, I was like, this is like a big stage. This is amazing. You can just put something on the internet and then like everybody's going to see it now. That scares the hell out of a lot of people. But to me, it just felt so exciting. So I naturally loved it from the get go. And I used it for fun, just like everybody else. And I just explored and figured it out. And fast forward some years down the road, I was working in the family business, which is still owned by my dad to this day, which is where I learned everything I know about business. And he was like, this Facebook thing, you like all that stuff, can you figure out how to do our Facebook page for the business? And I was like, yes, that sounds like so much fun. So I did it. And then I just started having friend business owners ask and say, look, obviously you like it, I hate this stuff, I don't want to mess with it, can I just like pay you a couple $100 here or there and you can help me? And I was like, yes, you can. I couldn't believe, because to me, it just was so natural and fun and enjoyable. So I thought, wow, they're going to just voluntarily pay me for this. And that was years ago, and it kept going. And so I thought, this is a thing. Okay, let's make it an official business. So actually, as we're recording this in early 25, we recently celebrated 6 years of official business for Fun Love Media. And here we are. Now we've got 5 people on the team, and we work with great, cool people like you, and really love to help mission-driven, purpose-driven businesses shine. So we're not doing the corporate-y cold stuff. We're working with people that want to tell their real stories, that want to make an impact on their communities, and that want to try to have as much fun as possible doing it.
So how important do you think social media is for business, like the business side of thing? I know everybody does it because you're supposed to do it, but I mean.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you the real answer. I mean, the truth is that not everybody, every kind of brand of business needs it at the same level as everyone else. I do think that it would be, I was going to say irresponsible. Maybe I should say it would be silly not to at least somewhat take advantage of it. Every single business out there, right? At least set up your presence and your platforms and get your names and your handles and have all that stuff, because that's just more ways that people can find you and contact you, of course. But as far as really sharing content, the level of it depends upon the business, because it may be weird for me to say this as somebody that owns a social media agency, but a lot of times businesses aren't initially discovered on social media. A lot of times it's about that next step. So, and right now people are Googling everything. So somebody Googles something and they find you, especially if you're like a location-based business, they could find you, they could find your business in Houston, they know, or mine. Then that's how they're probably going to find you, or maybe a referral. But then you want to take that next step with people. If you have this great business, but then your Instagram and your LinkedIn and your whatever all look horrible or have nothing on them, then you're not going to be able to nurture that relationship further. So it's it's different for everybody. That's the real answer. But I do think everybody needs it to some degree.
So your website is probably your first thing. Mm-hmm. And then to kind of support that is social media.
Right. And I still hear people these days say, you don't need a website. And I'm like, you do. I don't know what that's about. But it all works together. And whenever a business or a brand really takes the time to have all those pieces and it all works together like one big, beautiful marketing machine, that's whenever you're golden. It's not like we can't fully rely on Instagram. We can't only rely on a website. We can't only rely on Google reviews, right? We want to have all of the things working.
So is there a preference on platform that you use? Which one do you use most? Or
Right. Well, I mean, in general, I mean, I like, as a business owner, I have my favorites. And I think that that's probably the case for a lot of business owners whenever you do have some sort of a presence, which I also think is cool, by the way, if a business owner really develops a personal brand online, because then you're going to just reap even more rewards from that. But you're going to end up with your favorites, like what you like to use, but also like what you like the most is not always going to match up with where your target audience is. Right. So that's why I always say be on more than one. So you want, with a little bit of research and maybe talking to an expert, maybe reading and watching videos, you're going to figure out like kind of the different audiences that are on the different platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And then you're going to go, okay, this is probably where my people are. And you're going to put more effort into that one. And then maybe the other ones are just maybe you don't have to be as aggressive on every platform. But I do think you should be on more than one for sure.
And so you said personal brand. Why do you think it's important to have not just your work out there, but like the personal side of the company?
Personal brands are always, okay, sorry, 90 something percent of the time, a personal brand is going to have higher visibility than a company brand, than a business brand. We're going to say there's exceptions like Coca-Cola and Target and so on. Those are enormous, big corporate brands. But when it comes to a more typical size of a business, and then you have a business owner like you, for example, that is saying, okay, well, I'll also develop this personal brand, which means I'm going to share things that I'm the face of, and that I'm showing my perspective and my personality and all these things. I think that when someone's willing to do that, it's so beneficial. Like our personal brands get so much more visibility because we're humans and people are going to relate. They're like, oh yeah, I follow Carolyn. And then they're going to be like, oh, I could also follow the law firm and the show and all that stuff, So it's like, it's people first is why they succeed.
All right, so tell us about Fun Love Media. What are the things you do? How's everything going? Tell us all the things.
Fun Love Media, we are a social media focused agency, a creative marketing agency. But the thing that I have found is that just like with pretty much anything in career, like lean into your strengths, and so that's how I started the business, and that's how we've continued to go. So by that, I mean, you've got to figure out what specific thing you can help people with. And with us, we have found that we're really, really great at helping to take someone along and be there with them, like step by step by step. So we do a lot of social media management where we're creating the content, but we're also literally handling the whole process for, businesses and brands. They got a lot going on. Like it's a full-time job if you really do it thoroughly. So we have found that we're really good at like nurturing that and just working with people year after year after year and kind of being like honorary team members. So we're creating content, we're posting it on all the platforms, we're doing their community management and replying to comments and messages and stuff. But I personally think that to be able to do that really well, I know I'm biased, but to be able to do that specific thing really well, we really have to get in there and get to know the business. Like it's not just like you randomly hire a plumber to come to your house one time. You know what I mean? Like this is an ongoing relationship. So we're getting in there, we're asking questions, and we're learning about the business because we're going to go and be the voice of the brand and go and help represent you online. So we love it. We go to the content shoots and we want to talk to people and get to know them. I want to hear about your pets. I want to hear about your kids, whatever the hell you want to tell me. I want to learn all that because that helps us connect better and then represent better.
So like when a client comes to you and like say they have like, a sporadic social media content, what is the plan? How do you help them? What does that look like?
It is important to have a plan because it's so easy to just neglect if you don't. It's very much like fitness. I always say organic social media, meaning not like an ads agency or something, but just like your regular content, is very much like fitness. Like one workout isn't going to make all the difference in the world, and maybe even 10. But once you get to a year of workouts, you could be a whole new person. It's very similar with social media. So that's why we do set out a calendar and a plan. So I recommend anybody that's listening or watching, just have a plan, even if you don't have to be like posting content every day of the week, but you have to commit to something and sustain it. So if all you can sustain is one post a week on LinkedIn and one post a week on Facebook, right now, that's what you can do. Fine, but freaking do it. Put it on your calendar, put it on your, however you want to organize it, and make it a part of your routine. And then, you get better at it and you could add more content later. But I highly recommend having a calendar. That's what we do. We're pretty simple. We use Google Calendars for every single client. and it's just placed on the days, and all the information is there, and the plan is there.
Gotcha. Do you use AI at all to help with content? I'm very curious.
We not really. And I just, it's an integrity thing, and it's also, it's kind of funny. I think that right now, as we're talking in 25, I don't know, it'll change in the future, but right now, AI is a great tool for people that need that kind of tool, especially like if people, when they talk about writing, they say, oh, well, it wrote this whole email for me. Well, for me, it would take me longer to go and tell the damn thing, but to write in the email, I'm just going to write it myself because I'm a writer and I love it. So that's kind of the way we approach it at Fun Love Media. We're like, okay, we're not going to use this to replace what we already know how to do, because it would take us longer just to freaking do that. But we're going to do it smart, you know? So the one way we have found recently is the video clips, like for this show or for other ones where you have long video and then you want to cut it up. There are tools for that help that process go faster. So that's probably the most popular one.
Gotcha.
For social media right now, is to cut up those little clips of the videos.
Yeah. Gotcha. And video is like the thing right now, right?
Video is the thing. And I know people that don't want to be on camera don't want to hear that, but it is the thing. It is still the thing. And I think it's going to continue to be the thing. And there are all kinds of creative ways to make sure that your business is showing up on video without being so much pressure. Like, you don't always have to be talking on camera. It can just be video B-roll with some cool music in the background, with some information on the screen about, you know, how you can help them. It doesn't, you know, you adjust it to what you can do, but you have to be putting out some sort of video.
Long or short videos, or does it matter, or both?
Short for increased visibility. I mean, I'm talking like it could even be a Reels video or TikTok or something that's like less than 10 seconds long. That's going to help increase visibility. But that's part of like how we go into a strategy. We go, okay, well, we know we need some of the videos to be really short because that's going to grab attention and that's going to get more eyeballs on the brand. But then you are going to have longer ones that are a little more meaty, that for the people that are like, okay, now I'm paying attention to your content, they're going to watch the longer ones. But when I say long, I mean like a minute or 90 seconds. Like,
that's the attention span, right?
Yes, that's long in our world right now. Yeah. It's so stupid, but.
All right. Tell me about some of your favorite client success stories.
Oh my gosh. Okay. There's so many sweet moments and cool moments because, like I said, we get to know these people, you know, so we get to really witness cool stuff. I will say that, like, for example, there's a hair salon in Houston that we've worked closely with for years, and a lot of times they'll have the hairstylist on camera, which makes total sense because they want to educate. They want to show how we do this, and they'll have like a model in the hair and the whole thing. And watching some of those hairstylists who start out being so nervous to be on camera, to show, you know, like, and they're beautiful, talented, wonderful people, but they're nervous. And then the next time we come back 3 or 4 months later for another shoot, you know, maybe they're a little more confident. And so we're literally witnessing somebody increase their confidence of being on camera, and which then in turn increases their own confidence in what they do because they are a badass whenever their video does well, you know what I mean? And also that helps boost their team's morale because you get to get featured and all of that stuff. So witnessing those kind of moments to me is really, really special. And then everybody ends up benefiting. They get more attention, they get more business and all of that. But it's really cool to watch that.
Yeah. What about email newsletters? Is that still a thing?
Yes. I know people don't want to hear that either. Email is so funny about email. Like, it's not sexy. Like, at least like with videos, it's like, ooh, that's kind of fun. We can make a cute video. But email's not really all that cute, but it is so effective. I mean, like, when we do an email for somebody, like if we like a social media client, and you can add on email marketing, when we do that, it's cost the person, the client, the same amount of money for us to create an email that would go to, say, a list of 100 people that they have on their list versus if they have a list of 10,000 people. Like, to pay someone to help you with that, if you were paying, you don't have to pay, but is the same. So my point is that you get so much bang for your buck. Like, you can reach however many people you can get on that email list. Mm-hmm. And it's simple, you know, and the conversion rates I feel are better
Yeah.
on email. I feel like social media is like the, hey, look at me, that thing. And
Yeah.
then come on in. And then you take that next step and you have emails and so on.
Gotcha. Ah, all right. So videos, we talked about that. So like if somebody wants to hire you, do you set a budget first? Do you ask what they're interested in? Do you look at what they have already? Like if somebody comes to you and what the hell, what does that look like?
Yeah. Yeah. No, all of that really. Um, I'm a big believer in transparency when it comes to, and this is just something that might be helpful for any business owner to think about, is with budgeting and with how much your services cost and stuff like that. Like making it fairly easy for people to get that information. And everybody's going to do it a little differently. Like some people might put everything on their website. Some people might send it to you in an email, like, whatever. But I just like that transparency so people can really understand what it takes. So I do that. We always make sure all that information is available. But then past that, it's really honestly like listening. That's why every single time we're going to work with somebody, we have a discovery call and we just ask some questions and then we zip it and listen. Because the more we can learn about the business, the more we can tell what's going to be beneficial to them. And you're right. You do have to look at like what a business has. If you're trying to kind of do a social media like makeover or something, look at what's been working and what hasn't been working, or what you've even been doing. The biggest mistake that businesses make when it comes to social media is not consistently sharing content. It's that simple. So if you can be there, then you can take it to the next level.
It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done.
It doesn't have to be perfect, but I also recognize that, people don't want crappy content of their business going out either. So you kind of find this nice middle ground where you go, you know what, I'm gonna make it as nice and neat. If your brand is polished, cool. If it's more professional or if it's not, whatever it is, you're gonna do your absolute best that you can, whether you're working with somebody or not. And then it's gonna take time to like mold it and perfect it.
What would you say to somebody who's considering starting a podcast? Where would they start and what would that look like?
First of all, make sure you really want to do it. Make sure you really, really want to do it. And like, you don't have to commit for ever at first, but you got to commit to something, because honestly, I'm pretty sure the numbers are like the larger percentage of podcasts end after episode 4. It's low. You're like beating records with yours. I mean, this is, I told you before, I had a podcast for 5 years and we released an episode every week. We never missed a week for 5 years. And it was a great accomplishment. But the bottom line is that takes a lot of work and effort if you do it the right way. So that's what I would say to somebody is make sure you can really commit. Even if you're doing like seasons or something, some people do that. And it's like 20 episodes and then they take a break and then 20 more and so on. Cool. Make sure you can commit to that. And then whenever you release episodes, make sure you tell people. Like, there's so many podcasters that I think put out episodes and like just hope that Apple and Spotify will magically like feature them. Unfortunately, they won't.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
You got to share about it on social. You got to send it out to your email people. You got to do all the things to spread the word, and it will start to gain momentum. So I would say definitely make sure you're willing to commit. Make sure it's a topic that you feel is specific enough to your expertise, but also like broad enough that you can have enough to talk about.
Exactly. Forever. Well, and always new and changing things and different perspectives. And
yeah, for sure. You want to have kind of the mix of like flexibility, but also your specific expertise. And then if you're going to, like right now, as we're talking, I always say right now, because I know things change so much, like a solo episode could be really short. I know you've done this before. If you do a solo episode on a show, I mean, and if that's all you're going to do, you don't ever need an episode that's longer than like 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Really. But if you're going to have interviews, they're longer. So you got to think about that too. And if you're going to have interviews, it's a process. Like, are you cool with that? You got to like get people to be on the show.
Yeah. And not all people are comfortable being on camera. I've had people read the responses. I've had,
right.
You got to prepare them as much. You might be a pro at it, but you still have to get them prepared because most of the time they're not a pro.
Right. Well, I think with podcasting, it's just like, it's also when somebody's getting into it, I think it's very cool and trendy to think about like immediately trying to have big advertisers and make all this money. But the truth is that the majority of podcasts especially that are like more business related podcasts, usually the person hosting it is a business owner, and usually it's a part of their overall marketing plan. It's not necessarily to try to get advertisers and to sell like products through commercials, because that may make you some money, but that's a whole project in itself. So a lot of times go into it with those realistic expectations. How can the show support what I'm already doing?
And bring people into your business funnel.
Right.
That's how I feel about it. I don't have commercials. I promote my own products and what we do. And
Yeah.
I just think it's more, or while sharing, I think somewhat good content and lots of different perspectives from lots of different people.
Right.
On
Right.
how to
Yeah,
run.
and I don't know about you, but like for me, I know after years of having my show, like also meeting people, like the people that were guests. It's so cool. Like some of them are actually like really good friends of mine now. Some of them we've done business together or we've collaborated. Like it really, there's so many different ways it can benefit you. It's the same as social media. It's not just about sales transactions and conversions into customers like immediately just because you posted one cool video.
Exactly.
There's so many different ways that it benefits a business.
No, I agree. And it puts your name out there. It helps you network. Like I get referral all the time from attorneys I've had on the podcast, or it just puts it out there, and it makes you easier to find.
Right. Visibility is everything right now. Like it's Gary Vee, I think, that says, the currency is attention.
Yeah.
And I agree 100%. Right now it's attention. And those that are willing to dive in and get the attention in the right ways and all the things, are going to be the winners right now.
Not great. Well, and I think having a good niche too, right? Like you have something that you're good at that's specific.
Right.
I think helps. You can't be very general.
You don't have to be good at what everybody else is good at. You're good at your thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if people wanted to find out more about you and Fun Love Media, where would they go?
They could go to funlovemedia.com. Fun Love Media is also on all the social platforms. I am on the social platforms. It's a different world in Brittany land, because in Brittany land, that's the actor, that's the performer having fun, meeting people. I use it really as a way to entertain people under my name, and then meet people and make those connections, which then actually leads to business, believe it or not. So I might be dancing or being silly, but I'm meeting people and it's actually feeding toward my business as well. So I'm on social everywhere, and Fun Love Media is as well, but you can go to funlovemedia.com to get more information about what we do.
Awesome. And I'll make sure that it's put all in the show notes.
Yes, we'll put it there.
All right. Thank you so much, Brittany.
Okay, thank you.